everybody. Welcome to this talk. My name is Safa. I teach marketing at New York Tech. And today I want to talk to you about the concept of JIT Education. So this is the research that I have started recently, and I have a mixed method for the research. We're right now at the very first step, which is creating a comparative framework. I will be explaining that to you. The next steps are qualitative quantitative analysis that we have a plan for it, and hopefully some of you guys will be participating in the data collection in the next steps. So let's start by this thought that education has not changed much since the 1500s. This is an image from a class. The early ages, you see, in many ways, is similar to the classes that we are doing in this age. And you can see that through time, and actually Tim's talk about the evolution of education has been very insightful for me too, but also helps me with my presentation because, as you can see, we've been able to resist change. And no matter where in the world, different types of economic situations, still the same, different age ranges, still the same system. So things have not changed much in the way that we present education until very recently when the AI arrived. So with AI, a couple of things have changed which warrant changeover of education. So we have instant access to information, so no more I, as the instructor, am the sole provider of information to the class. Unlimited knowledge, compare that to my limited knowledge. And personalized experience, one-to-one, so AI is able to create personalized experience and also providing customized learning path based on the career goals a person has and their prior knowledge. So I would like to posit that AI is turning the university from a knowledge source warehouse into a skill refinery boot camp. So the old model was you come for 4 years, you pay some tuition, get a degree, and you use that degree to get a good job. Whereas the new model probably would be stay connected for life, so it would be lifelong learning. You pay for access rather than paying for tuition, software as a service kind of model. So you get skills when you need them, and you continuously succeed in your career and your life through the support that you receive from the school. So I posit that at least there is a possibility, like it is possible now, to create a system as described above. So AI can track the learning patterns each person might have. So some learning patterns works for me, some work for other people, plus the very specific career goals that I might have. And that input helps AI to create a project-based learning or skill-based learning recommended only for me. And it basically sprints me to the next step I want to go to with my career. So let's compare AI-driven future versus traditional education. Traditional education was one-size-fits-all curriculum, at least to the extent of a program or a certain course. Fixed semester timeline, faculty design programs versus everything is up for change. So I know you've been sitting through a couple of presentations this morning, so I don't want to emphasize too much about the AI aspects. I'm sure you guys already know that. But let me give you a little bit of a teaser of the new. It's not going to be how AI is delivering education, but most people here have seen Matrix. Can I see by raise of hands who has seen Matrix? Very good. The rest of the people, not my audience. So in this scene, actually, she's like, I need to learn how to drive a helicopter.
New Chipotle Honey Chicken brings a hint of pure honey and seared smoked peppers with fresh. New Chipotle Honey Chicken brings a hint of pure honey and seared smoked peppers with fresh chicken hot off the grill. For Chipotle heat with a touch of sweet and a perfectly balanced sauce. Chipotle Honey Chicken takes heat and sweet to a whole new level.
Can you fly that thing?
Not yet.
Operator.
Tank, I need a pilot program for a 12 helicopter. Hurry. Let's go.
All right, so let me quickly tell you, for those of us who are not coming from a manufacturing background, JIT is just-in-time philosophy in manufacturing. So the way it used to work with traditional manufacturing was a push system. So you would push raw material into different stops in your manufacturing line. And between every two stops, every two machines, there would have been a work in progress, right? And sometimes it's too much, so you have to pay inventory costs, right? So it is not efficient. Also, it is costly to do production in the traditional style. So Toyota came up with a just-in-time manufacturing idea to eliminate waste and increase responsiveness of the manufacturing process. And it has proven quite successful. I can show you actually how it works here. So you see that it brings in all the ingredients you need for your manufacturing. And you've got a couple of processes done in order to get the final product. And I think here the final product, if you want to draw parallels with education, the final product would be a person with a job. Each one of these processes are courses and topics that are taught, and the manufacturing line, the institutions that actually provide education. So JIT is about delivering only what is needed, exactly when it's needed, reducing unnecessary, and creating a better flow, working on timing and relevance of the activity. So, for example, with the manufacturing line, everything starts from the demand. Once there is a demand, everything is pulled into the line, and it is lean system and valuing timing over stockpiling. So I can argue that the traditional the traditional education was more of a stockpiling. So you go through K-12, stockpiling all sorts of information, hoping that they will be like building blocks in your higher education and later in your career. So AIT takes care of that. And I can argue that with AI, we have the right technology to JIT education. Will we go in that direction? I don't know. We haven't seen that. We're not in the future. But this is definitely one of the viable directions that we can take. So what does it mean for a career-oriented educational institution like us? First of all, our goal is to create job readiness. That's what AI can deliver with more ease and with a more multidimensional approach. Focusing only on the essentials allows us to be effective in terms of cost, both for the students and for the organization. And of course, the educational program has to be overhauled and designed as a sequence of building blocks and modules. So it will be more modular. You can think about all the modular platforms that are out there. I will give you some examples in a minute. More importantly, reduce overteaching, which is one of the challenges that we have, especially with higher education when it comes to comparing credentials and accepting courses from different institutions. So we are seeing a lot of overteaching happening over the years. So JIT education, just-in-time education, not about learning less, but it's more about intentional learning, right? So you want to go back here, I forgot to tell you about the risks. So with JIT, there is a big risk. Once there is an interruption, the whole system could go into the hole. Think about things like COVID. So when it came, everything went out. So the same way, we can think about JIT education, leaving some gaps in foundational knowledge if it is poorly designed or poorly timed. Because you see, even when we talk about JIT education, there is some lead time for specific tasks, for specific skills. So that has to be calculated. Obviously, AI is really good with such calculations, and I think with more data from students, we'll be able to predict the lead time. So, a couple of shifts happening because of AI. For example, the automation, as Tim mentioned, there are a lot of jobs that are going to go away. So, teaching those skills to people not going to be really the best investment of their time or money. Shorten skills lifespan. So the things that are make people employable change really rapidly these days. And a lot of times when people are in the job market, they have to prepare themselves with skills as they are going through applying for the different jobs. Skill-based hiring, we see more and more when it comes to, for example, places like Google, Tesla, Apple. You can see that they hire people not because of the degree they have, but the skills they have. And also sometimes they come up with their own microcredential system. For example, you take some of those Google courses for digital marketing, and you can find a job at Google. So there are some criticisms of JIT education. For example, over-dependence on technology, as we discussed. Once, let's say, if we are relying on AI, and then one morning we lose access to AI, or somehow the whole thing comes to a halt, then if we do not have systems to fall back on, it will be a big problem. Potential gaps in foundational knowledge. So I could argue that an overhaul of K-12 education, spending more time on social skills, developing critical skills, all that will be of prominence. So if we have that system, we can take care of the number two. But if not, if it's the whole just-in-time education happens in higher ed, with traditional K-12 education, we're going to have some mismatch. Lack of human interaction, the fact that a lot of these micro-credentials can be delivered only through AI with no human interaction seems to be a weak point, and I think people have talked about that. And of course, ethical concerns. Again, I don't want to be repeating the topics that we have already discussed. Here are some examples: Duolingo, Coursera, edX, Khan Academy, LinkedIn Learning, GPT itself. These are all early versions of JIT education. So every time I need to do something, so very recently I learned about Zapier, which is an automation tool. And I was like, okay, that is easy. I just need a couple of hours to get myself up to speed so that I can create my own automation. It took me like 2 days, but still, to me, that is just in time. Now, AI has a lot more impact on education. For example, think about virtual bots teaching assistants. I have created one that I call Alfred, right? So it's a 24/7 teaching assistant. Automated grading and feedback. So grading and feedback is really at a minimal level, especially when the classes are of a scale. But with AI, you can actually deliver feedback that is customized to each student and takes the evaluation one step further. It becomes part of the learning journey, right? Academic advising chatbots, language translation and accessibility tools, mental health AI chat support. These are all additions to educational institutions. This slide is for your eyes. Some challenges for institutions like us, and there are some opportunities lying ahead, right? So, for example, challenges are shifting in educational models, resource reallocation, loss of revenue streams to AI, and high competition, resistance to change, as was discussed earlier. But also, I think all of us in higher ed institutions, we have realized the opportunities. We're just hoping that we can seamlessly integrate that into our already existing systems, like collaboration with AI platforms, customized learning programs, focus on lifelong learning. That could be a business model, a new business model for schools, like subscription-based rather than tuition-based. Hybrid models of education with human touch as well as AI. And of course, it would be much easier to have a global outreach if you are offering a outstanding value to people. You'll be able to deliver the same level of experience to anyone and everyone around the world. So, I hope that was a quick summary, but gave you an idea of what I mean by just-in-time education. Here are the questions that I have now that I would like to collect data for. And I'm going to pose these questions for you. Hopefully, by the end of the presentation, I'll be able to take some hands and some people volunteer to participate in that. Okay, so the first question is, how can we use the blended approach, integrating JIT methodologies with traditional systems to get the efficiency of AI tools as well as all the goodies that human interaction brings, including the very important foundation of knowledge, right? The next question is learner outcomes, which was the last question before this session. So are we doing a disservice to the learners by putting them through AI? Well, there needs to be comparative studies comparing, I think it was one of the sessions in the morning that they have they are designing a 3-group study. One group will only receive human teaching, human education. One is AI-based, and one is a hybrid method. Economic and policy implications for the institutions. So what are the potential economic impacts of adopting JIT education? How does it impact us? How does it impact different industries, labor markets, even government policies? For example, you look at Canada, it's a country where most of the workforce is open to immigrants, and those immigrants have to go through a legal framework, and have to comply with that. So government policies becomes a very important element of any progress in that avenue. Exploring AI-powered educational equity. So the idea is, if you use AI, is it gonna widen the gap or shorten the gap between privileged communities and underprivileged communities? You think that technology that is accessible to all is gonna democratize education? That was what we thought about internet and democratizing information, but it didn't end up like that. So it happens that with the internet, as in any other technology, there is one winner that takes all, like poker, and everybody else has to fold. So that is not really equitable. And we have to be able to design systems that establish that equity for our students. Designing ethical frameworks for AI in education. What are guidelines for ethical AI deployment? So, for example, there are some issues, again, try not to repeat what everyone else has mentioned this morning. So, the bias that AI could have, it's a big discussion right now. The concept of privacy, especially when we are talking about student data. There are rules and regulations around that. And of course, the unintended consequences of personalization. There will be some unintended consequences. So, these are my questions. If there are other questions, I would be happy to hear it from you. If you think you can help me collect information on those questions, I'll be happy to talk to you. But I would like to close the session by this video from 1984. I've been sitting on this video, like talking about it almost every year in my classes until this past year. It was just something that people said, yeah, keep talking. But this year is just part of the world that we know. So this is Steve. In terms of 84 in Sweden trying to market Macintosh, but he talks about AI in education.
Simple economics rather than the revolutionary nature that it really was. Do you know who Alexander the Great's tutor was for about 14 years? You know, Aristotle. And I read this. I became immensely jealous. And I think I would have enjoyed that a great deal. And through the miracle of the printed page, I can at least read what Aristotle wrote without an intermediary. And maybe if there's a professor, they can add to that. But at least I can go directly to the source material. And that is, of course, the foundation upon which our Western civilization is built. But I can't ask Aristotle a question. I mean, I can, but I won't get an answer. And so my hope is that in our lifetimes, we can make a tool of a new kind, of an interactive kind. And when I look at the personal computer, we're, as you know, living in the wake of the last revolution, which was a new source of free energy. And that was the free energy of petrochemicals, right? And it completely transformed society, and we're products of this petrochemical revolution, which is we're still living in the wake of today. We are now entering another revolution of free energy. A Macintosh, as you know, uses less power than a few of those light bulbs, and yet can save us a few hours a day or give us a whole new experience. And it's free intellectual energy. It's crude, very crude, but it's getting more refined year after year after year. And in our lifetimes, it should get very refined. And so my hope is someday, when the next Aristotle is alive, we can capture the underlying worldview of that Aristotle in a computer. And someday, some student will be able to not only read the words Aristotle wrote, but ask Aristotle a question and get an answer. And
well, thank you so much. So. Questions?
Pretty ironic. He's talking about in reality, it's not moving on a closed door because it's not.
That's true. That's true.
But let's back to your question. Some of my thoughts that I'm seeing a collapse of the traditional education system in the next. It's inevitable. Let's say I got. For now, I don't see any traditional work. As you said, I honestly and I will not send into a traditional school. Maybe I will try to do my find resources. And maybe if I got some resources, I will send him to, for example, Elon Musk. He found a school for his children himself. It's an innovative school. It's called Astra. That type of school is totally a project. It's project. It's going to that school. It's more like a project. Only it's not. So that's
learning by doing. You mean learning by doing? So
learning by just focus on project. Mm-hmm. For example, students you just focus on project. You want to do something, finish something, and you learn. in a sport, you can, even if you got Kansas, you can start in that education. But that's not for commerce.
That's a good one.
So
Let's
that's
talk
the
about that.
idea for project.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. So this, I think, is something for career-oriented education. So the goal is getting a good
No, it's not
career
for career.
rather than
I mean, for a
accumulating knowledge.
teenager, let's say he's 14 years old, a teenager, they no longer need
That's true.
think about guys. I'm not sure if you're familiar with guys like Pamela, the Pamela, the founder of Angel Investment. That I mean.
Very good. Well, thank you so much. In the interest of time. Thank you. Well, I invite everybody who wants to talk to me, come find me after this. But thank you very much for